It's going.
It's
Oh,
live.
it's live. No, because it's like I almost forgot. Even though I'm in the StreamYard and everything, I almost forgot because I got so distracted by a link. I was looking on eBay for the collected Omaha the Cat Dancers.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because the other day someone on Blue Sky had discovered Omaha and they were just like going, I've never heard of this book, and oh my god, it's so good. Like, it's like one of these, like, I don't know if they were millennial or younger, but like they just discovered it, and it was such a joy to hear them, like, to kind of like see them like just really like gushing about like, oh my god, like I never knew that this type of book existed and blah blah blah. Like it could have been written yesterday or something, like,
Right.
and then they gave a link to where they were reading it, because I was originally reading it on some archive that got taken down, and they gave a new link and it has all the collected books on there, and it's like, oh my god, it's like just being able to see the artwork again. And then I went on eBay to see like what these books go for, and it's like, yeah, it like they start at like $40 a pop.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then it's like, of course, getting it in any kind of reasonable condition, but as because there's 6 volumes in total, and as you go like up volumes, I guess the rarer the volumes become, because I guess like the print runs were smaller. And then by the time I got to like the last volume, like volume 6, it's like almost like $100 for, and it's like, I mean, if there was ever a book that needed a collected omnibus, it's Omaha the Cat Dancer.
I know, right?
Like that is literally like I would be there day one of the pre-launch, But I don't know. The only place that I think that's ever done a complete omnibus was Germany. And that's not on eBay at all.
Oh, I'm sure, because then it's probably like what, 150, 200 copies out there in the world.
Yeah, who knows? But it's like, yeah, I only heard about the German edition, and it's like, I mean, if there was ever a book that was like I realized that my real trifecta of creative foundational work is Rocket Raccoon, ElfQuest, and Omaha the Cat Dancer. And when I realized, it's like, oh, well, that explains a lot.
Right.
Oh my goodness. So good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So what day is it today?
It's fucking Monday.
Yeah. Monday, March 16th, 2026.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait. What? Oh my god.
What?
I'm losing everything. You did my part.
Well, I was kind of like trying to urge you to.
Well, I'm high, Daphne. You can't just drop hints. I'm already thinking about Reed Waller and what he's doing.
Yeah, no, you see, that's what happened. We got distracted. So
I got totally distracted. I was looking up Omaha.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, good morning, losers. It's March 16th, 2026, and this is the Ragin 2, the vlogs.
Oh
I don't
my
even know
God.
what that means. Like, whatever.
We are so not ready for this.
I'm not. And here's the deal. When I popped in the StreamYard, I thought we were going to hang out for an hour because I'm in the wrong time zone. I'm sitting here, eye boogers, stanky breath, coffee, and I hadn't even hit my bong yet. All right. Okay. All right. You ready?
Absolutely not. But hit it.
Here we go.
Valar Morghulis. Yes, all men must die. But we are not men.
You know what? Yeah, I don't miss the old clips. I really don't.
Nah.
Oh my goodness. So good morning, everybody, on this, well, at least on my end, it's a very dreary Monday. Temperatures are going to drop back down to 30 degrees. I think we were just like 70 like last week or something.
It's stupid cold here. It's
Yeah.
44 fucking degrees.
Oh yeah,
That's way too
no.
cold for me,
No,
considering it was like 80 yesterday.
Oh yeah. But you know, hey, climate change is fake, right? Oh my goodness. So who's joining us in the chat? Who's awake? Who's awake
So
with
far,
us today?
we got Lou and Mr.
hello.
Rob Malpari.
Oh, hello.
Holy shit.
What?
Oh, Rob, dude, I'll message you after the show. I have like Rob asked to talk to me like a week ago, and a whole bunch of shit came up, and I just like I've been very, 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 very distracted.
Oh well, yeah. So there we go. So there we go. And yes, I see you, our beautiful eyeball people watching from regions beyond. If you're watching from Facebook, please come on over to YouTube, join the sexy people in the chat and keep them company. So far, I haven't had a problem actually with streaming to Facebook, but you know, we've had issues in the past, and because of that, we have what is it? Social media PSTD.
PTSD.
Whatever that is. Yeah, that too. We have that too. Oh my goodness. So yes, I guess so. If you are new here, welcome, and if you are back again here and back again, welcome again to the Ragin to the Vlog show. I guess let me find my screen here. And hello everyone, because I need a cue card to introduce myself. Hello everyone. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist, self-publishing since 1992. I am known for the furry fantasy adventure Tall Tales. Are you still looking up Omaha there? It's like Tall Tales.
No, I promise I'm done. I'm paying attention.
And the medieval fantasy drama EGORAVEN, Heir the First Unicorn. Both you could read online at egoworks.com. And really quick, I'll bring up the cards here. We have EGORAVEN. Speaking of EGORAVEN, we have EGORAVEN issue 12 on Kickstarter right now. Thank you everybody who have supported the campaign. The link is in the chat and in the show notes. We are like less than $20 away from hitting 4K. So please check out the link, check out the book, and if you want, you can read it on the website first for free, and then see if this is a series you want to continue on with. The issue 12 out of a 16 issue series. And also the other book that we have on Kickstarter, at least this is in pre-launch, it's Rod Espinosa's Adventure Finders. This is originally a webcomic that he was serializing on his Patreon, and we as Indie Comics Network is doing our first publishing Kickstarter for him because he's in the Philippines, and this is going to be volume 1 of Adventure Finders. It's kind of like a lighthearted Lord of the Rings about a group of kids who decide to go off into the world and be the little adventurers they've always fantasized to be, only to find out very quickly that they're probably in over their heads. So I personally am excited for this campaign, and I'm the one who put the book together for him. So I would want to own this book. So pre-launch is in the chat and in the show notes. Thank you so much to the 67 followers who have signed up to get notified when the campaign goes live. And joining us, all groggy this morning,
it's Nita. Just Nita.
Right.
Oh my god, I'm trying to stretch. No,
Are
seriously, I
you?
thought I was gonna pop in here, say good morning, go piss, make a cup of coffee, like
But
make it's like nope, it's actually 11.
well,
Uh,
because you have the combination of you're already like in a different time zone and you're dealing with daylight saving, even though that was like last Sunday, but you know how it is. It takes
look,
everybody
look,
9
I'm
months.
dramatic. I'm dramatic. It takes me a whole fucking year to
Right.
readjust.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and I've never adjusted to this. It's stupid. I want to
Right.
live in the little section of Arizona that ignores it
Right. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
fuck this shit.
You know, it's like I don't know. I do
Oh,
have to admit that I do like the idea of like having more daylight, like having more daylight, just in general.
well,
I like the
yeah.
idea. I don't like it when it's like 4 o'clock and it's already dark outside.
No, fuck no. And I like the dark.
Right.
I'm a creature of the night. But
Right.
like no, I also know that the fucking sun should still be out at 5 in the evening.
Right.
Like, you know?
Right. Yeah, the consensus is out on this one.
It is ridiculous that we still do
Right.
this.
Yeah, so it's like you're still yeah, I think we're all still kind of, adjusting, to it. So, yeah, it's we can't handle this constant changing.
No.
Right. So
It's like
how
just by the time you adjust, it's time to change it
change
again.
it
Ha
back.
ha.
Right. Yeah, exactly, just when we get used to it. So it's been a while since you've been I know you had some things going on, but
Some
in
things.
general, yeah, I know. Like, but in general, like, so how you doing, Nita?
Yeah. I'm I'm here.
Right, yeah.
I am doing my best to do what I do best, and that's to just shove everything down deep, deep, deep and bury it because I can't deal with it right now. There's
Right.
not enough time.
Right, yeah, yeah.
So,
We
like, I'm
like
just
we like
adding more fuel to when I finally blow.
right. Well, yes, it's like we like to bury our feelings until it manifests as a mental illness. So,
Yes, and
right.
then we have the breakdowns.
Right, yes. It's
Uh,
just what we do.
so get this, Daphne.
Okay.
I haven't fixed my equipment, so if it
Oh,
starts fucking up, but there's a reason why.
okay.
Because C decided that he didn't want his desk anymore.
Oh,
And then we
okay.
started talking,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, "Man, I really like your desk because it would give me the ideal setup because I like my workspace and my play space."
Right.
And his desk is big enough and it's L-shaped and takes up the whole side of the room that I
Mhm.
could do everything on his. And I was
Right.
like, "You know what? Maybe I want your desk." And then the next thing you know, we're sitting here talking and he's ordered a new desk. I'm getting ready, like as soon as it comes in, I'm gonna move everything one more time.
Okay.
And like we're moving the bed over and adjusting the room, and it's like we're gonna have the office on one side and the bedroom on the other side.
Oh,
And
okay.
and that sounds cramped, but I promise you guys, it's really not. We probably have
Right.
more room than most people because these rooms are stupid big.
Well, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so like I didn't fix anything. So if I cut out, I'm sorry, but
Right.
it was pointless in me trying to crawl underneath everything and adjust these wires and
Right.
shit when I know I'm gonna be doing it again sometime this week.
Right. So you're gonna have like your like office space on one side and like the
Yep.
bed on the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Instead of having 2 offices and a bedroom in the middle with
right.
paperwork and shit outside, like, I'll
Right.
turn around and put something on the bed to deal with later. C'll turn around on his side and puts we're not dividing the room. We're not doing a his side and her side anymore. We're doing a
Work
bedroom side and an
right.
office side because
Right.
we all like, we share the bed anyway, so
Right, exactly, right. It's kind of like, you're designating, you know,
Oop,
what the spaces are supposed to be, as opposed to
right.
yeah, that
And
usually
it'll
that's
keep the bedroom side looking neater
right.
because both of us just turn around and drop our shit right there, or
Well,
if
but
we're handing each other
technically
stuff,
the
we
the
throw it across the
larger
bed to each other, and if it doesn't make it to the other person's arm, we're like, "Oh, I'll get it later," or
right,
whatever.
well, that's true, yeah. But at least like an L shape, because I always liked L-shaped desks because of the amount of the fact that
Right.
you can have one side of the desk your gaming, and then the other side of the desk, your workspace, without it feeling like cramped.
Right.
I mean, it's like, yeah, it's yeah, I you know what? Change is good. Sometimes all you need to do is just like just kind of like switch up a place a little bit, and then you kind of like trick your brain into thinking it's a brand new space. And then it's like you feel kind of
renewed.
right, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, are you gonna set it up so that you can come back on camera, or you just figure
No,
like
probably not.
this is
I don't
just
know.
this is just what you are right now.
Yeah, I'm just
Right.
going with it. Like I'm
Right.
just still, I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're here. You don't need to be on camera. So as long as one of us is on camera, you know. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it's like no, it's like I've just been like super busy like with like both like my House of Bob commissions and just running the Kickstarter campaign, and it's almost like I've just been like this, for like the past couple of weeks.
We have had drama.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
nonstop.
Well, right, yeah. It's like, yeah, and I had, we as on my side here, we've had our share of it on this side as well. But luckily it all worked out, and but still though, it's like the work just like I don't know, it's just like every time there's a Kickstarter, it gets like super intense for me, because it's like I don't know. It's like no matter how many times I do a Kickstarter, like it always feels like, oh, is this the one that's going to like fail? It's like, is this the one that's going to like just like underperform or something? Because it's not that I'm expecting anything like big out of this Kickstarter for issue 12. But luckily it's doing what it always did. It's following the patterns that I'm used to seeing from the campaign. So at least it's hitting its baseline. So I'm okay. But still though, it's still like a lot of work to kind of like keep the momentum for 30 days or 28 days, actually.
Right.
I mean, actually today marks like 2 weeks left for the campaign. So, which reminded me, because you had did you like finish your classes when you were taking your marketing?
I still have some.
Oh, okay.
I still have some. We had stuff come up, and I got one semester complete.
Right. Okay, but you're still doing that, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. Because especially like lately, it's like I've been really, really thinking about like, oh, it's like, we really should talk about this again, because I know that I have said that I wanted to stay off social media and not worry about it. But, like in the end, once the campaign started, I realized that it's like, I really can't ignore social media the way I thought I could, and I don't know whether that was like an actual thing, or it's just that habit is kind of ingrained. So, because like I said, I think I've done like what, like 17, 20 Kickstarters. And
a lot.
Yeah. And, personally, that's not even counting all the ones that Jose does. And, and there's like these certain habits that it's like, oh, if I'm running a Kickstarter, I have to post here, I have to post there, I have to post, everywhere, kind of. And I kind of got back into that habit. So I've slowly, but I didn't want to get back into all of the bad habits.
Yeah.
So so I slowly began to like bring back certain platforms, which in the end turned out to be the platforms that I was usually working on anyway, but kind of like taking a different tact with it, like trying to just do something different, because that was the thing that like the saying, it's like that, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over again and hoping for a different result. And this time it's like I wanted to do something a little different when it came to posting to social media. And it's like, and I just wanted to like get your take on it, because this is essentially your job. This is what you do for other companies like Ethereal and Lone in Lone Wolf and Fortnite Wolf
and Hazarm and all this other stuff.
Right. And so when you're creating content, right? Because that's essentially what these little advertising pieces are. That's the content, right? I'm not talking about making art. I'm talking about making content.
Right.
What's your process for doing that? Especially when you have kind of dissimilar books that you need to kind of separate from each other stylistically. Like, is there a process you go through, or
the only process for it's always the same when you're marketing on social media is your image cannot feel like an advertisement,
right?
And different posts hit different people. So sometimes I'll do a long form with tags and hashtags, and then sometimes I'll do short form for those that don't care to read, that you're just trying to see the picture. And then sometimes it's just art. I mean, like, you vary it up for the different types of people that will be on there. You got the people that just scroll and like, so that's your image has to hit hard. You've got the people who want to know what it's about, but they don't want a word vomit. So you've got the 2 sentences to get to the point, and hopefully throw that link in by the and always, when you do have a link, always put it in like on the 3rd line if possible.
Right. So it still pops up when it crops off the rest. Yeah, that I've definitely been doing. Now the thing is, though, does the type of book like change, or it's like, are you using kind of like alternating the same techniques on each of these books, or does it also depend on one that like, does the type of book matter in terms of like how you advertise it, or is it completely dependent?
Because I'm not going to advertise a children's book like, hey, come get some tits and ass. I mean,
no, of course not.
Fuck, I'm not government.
Right, but I know, right? But like, how important is it for you to know the audience demographic? Like
it that's actually super important. I have so it's a yes and no answer, because it's kind of complicated,
right?
Because indie comics are so niche within themselves. Like, it's big, but it's still niche. It's niche within niche within niche. Like, okay, so I have general comics, which is something I'll put out into all the groups, like freaking it's kind of weird. I have my own system, and I can't really explain it. I just do it, and it works. Why? But okay, like, I put comics into all the comics groups, like, period. Like, go across. But then for the different books, I go looking for genre groups, like horror fans, fantasy fans, at one point in time when I was trying to help people with kids' books, when I learned my audience wasn't feeling that at all, I was going into educational ones, wherever you think there's going to be a common interest. A lot of those groups aren't just pump and post, so that's involves getting involved with group and whatever. So I mean, it depends on the book, and but as far as social media goes, it's just where you put it.
But knowing, because that was something that I was really like, I've always had a problem with the whole, like, every marketing book, every marketing guru or whatever, it's like, but every marketing book especially, right? The first thing they always talk about is who is your audience, who is your audience avatar? Like, who is your optimal person that you're selling to, that you're trying to like target your whatever it is? But in this case, you know what?
You are.
Right. Well, you see, that's kind of the funny thing, right? Because because technically, like, practically every creator says, oh, I'm the first, like, I'm the one that I think of first when I do my book. Like, I cater to me, it's like I write for me, or create my book for me. I'm the audience, and then everybody else is just joining in, right? And I was watching this video where this person, like, was talking about, was like, actually, I think he was a filmmaker, and he was talking about 3 different directors with 3 different takes on the idea of the audience. I think, like, if I remember correctly, the overall idea of the video was, how important is the audience really? And there was one director, I forgot who all these, I only remember one, but not by name. So I know the first director said that, why does he create? And he goes, he creates for the audience. Because without the audience, like, the art doesn't have a purpose, right?
Okay.
And then you have, like, Quentin Tarantino, that was one of the other directors, who outright says, oh, I do my movies for me. This is all for me. It's like, I make my movies for me. Right. And then there was this director from Pixar who was talking about, like, he actually had a hybrid idea where at first he says the most important thing was the audience. However, in the end, he had to put himself first when it came to creation, because he goes, yeah, it's like, it's very important for me to cater what I'm working on towards the audience and what they would want to see and what they would be interested in and everything, right? But however, he goes, this is a project I'm going to be spending 2 to 3 years of my life on, so I better like it.
Right.
So so he was, so that was his take. The guy who said the audience, that he only creates for the audience because I guess, like, someone had asked him if he was on a desert island, would he still create? And he goes, why would I make a movie if I'm by myself? What am I doing? Talking to myself? It's like, no, of course not. Like, I need, like,
I disagree.
Well,
I think
so
you
do I.
fucking would be trying because you're gonna
I-
be bored shitless. You need something to entertain you.
Right. No, because that's definitely how I take it. That it's like, no, if I was just myself entertaining myself,
I would be living in my world.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But someone in the comments, and sometimes there's gold in the comments. Someone had mentioned, right, that it's like, what? Oh, hey, Melissa. That, yeah, that we create for ourselves, but the audience forces us to finish. Yeah, so that's what the comment says. It's like, that we may create for ourselves and we may continue to create for ourselves, but the audience forces us to finish. And I thought that was kind of like an aha moment for me, because that was pretty much how I was working on EGORAVEN for the longest time. Before, like, because EGORAVEN existed since the 90s. Like I said, I made her up as a mascot for my college portfolio, essentially, actually earlier than that, for my art portfolio online. And over that time, I was just, like, futzing around with actually doing something with that character and making up a story, and like, slowly updating pages onto the website. But it wasn't, well, that's also the thing too. I want other people to look at it and validate me, right?
I'm gonna send you the number for my therapist.
Oh, right, there you go. Right. And I was just doing that at my own pace, right? Even though I was working on this story, there was a certain lack of just like there was like no real fire to like really work on this in earnest until 2020, when everything shut down and I suddenly had time to really think about this. And that's when I realized I need to shit or get off the pot with this story. And especially with something like Kickstarter allowing me to really put these books in front of people directly in kind of like an efficient way, as opposed to like just slowly building it up on a website. That kind of gave me the impetus to actually finish the book, and it became my reason for the past 5 years, 6 years to complete this story. Like that just became it's like, okay, we have to lock in, right? And it's like, I'm on issue 12. I'm 4 issues away from finishing the series. I already have it laid out. The story is finished. All I'm doing is just actually completing it. Hitting that, like I'm working on issue 13 right now. And and it's like, and it's because that there's an audience waiting for it, that's put, that it's like, okay, now it's time to really put the effort. Yeah, I'm creating for myself, but the audience kind of like puts that external pressure to actually be serious with it.
Right.
It was the same thing with Tall Tales in the past, before pre-Kickstarter, where we had San Diego Comic-Con doing that it's like that there was this importance to have something new completed for San Diego Comic-Con. Especially since to get a small press table, you had to submit what your new items was for approval to get a small press table. So again, there was that external. So I don't know if it was like, so in this case, it was less validation and more just, if we want to do this, we have to complete this. And so that video was kind of like having me thinking about it. And like for the longest, especially for the past several years, I know I've brought up this concept, right? Where even though we create for us, this, there's a weird thing with an audience where they want to know about your stuff, but they don't necessarily want to know about you to get to the stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's also kind of like the other side of the coin. I was like, yeah, we create for us, but the audience doesn't really want to hear about us. They want to hear about how what you're creating relates to them as someone potentially wanting to be interested, who can be interested in your work. And this was something that I was really playing around with this campaign, with the campaign for issue 12, that it's like, okay, I'm doing this campaign. I want to do something different with how I look at how I advertise it, essentially. I know how I've done it in the past. So at worst comes to worst, everything kind of stays the same, which means that it gives me the space to experiment a bit.
Right.
Because it's like, well, if my campaign is doing exactly the way it's always done, then the advertising, me advertising, switching up my advertising is not really going to affect it, because it's just doing what it's doing already. So I don't have to worry about it affecting my campaign. So the main thing that I was really thinking about this time around was that, how do I advertise EGORAVEN without putting me in it, without making it about me, right? And it was like a really weird thought process that I had to kind of like, because most creators right? These books are an extension of themselves. The passion project, I worked on, I made this up when I was X years old or whatever. It's like, say why it's good, right? But I think it's a little bit more than that, right? Say why it's good is say why you would want this, right? Like, how does this book relate to you, right? And like why would the audience want to read EGORAVEN, right? Is the question. It's like, it's not that why I want them to read it, but like, why would they want to read that? And like I said, it was kind of like a really weird thought process because it required me to like break a lot of habits, and the main one being that when you advertise a book, you're advertising yourself. And it's like, well, no, the idea is that I want to take myself out of that equation, and see what happens. And what that required me to do was to really think about who I want to advertise to. Like, who am I trying to attract? And, and for me, it's like, I especially like, I kind of feel personally that I've kind of capped out who in indie comics in general could be interested in my work. I really do feel like I kind of hit a ceiling with that. So it's like, okay, so who else is out there that would
So now you got to go find your fantasy genre people.
Right. And I think that the mistake a lot of creators do when they try to look outside of the indie comics circle is that they want to attract other people, but they want to use the exact same techniques they used in indie comics.
No, it's not the same.
Right. And it kind of like, and it kind of like the way I was thinking about it, it's like that indie comics, even like when you think about just on an advertising level, right? That indie comics or comics readers in general have a different language that they speak and recognize that, that someone who's into Dungeons and Dragons might not be the same thing.
Right.
And, or it's like, in my case, it's like, I can't well, how do I kind of get those Monsterotica people to look at my stuff, right? But I can't advertise it in the same way as I did in indie comics if I'm trying to attract indie comics.
Right.
So I was paying attention to what a lot of other creators were doing or not doing, right? For good or for bad, what they were doing. And what I was noticing was that, there is this want to attract different people, but a lot of these creators were using the same bait, i.e., they're trying to attract, like I said, people who play Dungeons and Dragons or people who play video games or, like different types of enthusiasts with the visual language of comic book people. And I would watch how that wasn't really working,
Right.
So, and then I would see these people get frustrated. It's like, oh, but I said, but this is for this and this is for that. Why aren't they coming over? And it's like, well, the same reason that, your little minnow on a hook is not going to get a swordfish. You're not going to attract a shark, with with a minnow, right? You said that it's a little minnow on a hook, you have to, literally put chum in the water to attract a shark. So the bait has to be different. So that was something that I was really like trying to analyze, like how different does the content that I make to try to attract certain people to my campaign? How differently do I have to do this content? And for some reason, this triggered kind of like, instead of like being frustrating like I usually was before, this question actually kind of triggered kind of like, oh, another puzzle to solve. Right? And, and I started like experimenting with stuff because of that. It's like, oh, well, let's try this out. Let's try that out. Right? Where in the past, I really, really resisted. But for some reason, something got switched that it made me go, you know what? Yeah, let's try making a couple of reels and see what happens. Let's, it's like, what if, what if I made a reel, but, I did it from the perspective of the person looking at it, not me trying to sell something. Right. And that really requires a different mindset, because what we think would be important for the book, the person you're trying to attract might not give a shit. It's the whole thing that we would talk about, like saying that it's a passion project, or, oh, I made this, it's kind of like Audra Winters making like, oh, I created this when I was 12 years old. Like that's not a selling point. Why would you think that's a selling point?
Right.
And it's like, granted, like Audra was trying to make it sound like she was a child prodigy by doing that. But the problem is that you're at 12 years old, she was doing the same shit every other 12-year-old was doing. You're writing fanfics, you're doodling in a book, you're creating your own worlds. We've all done that. That's nothing special. So the average person, like, seeing that, they're gonna think like, okay, we were all doing that at 12. Why would that be special? Why would you think that would mean anything to me, right? So I started, and also another thing that I started looking at was looking at how romance authors or romantasy authors were making content on Instagram. And I did a little bit of trying to imitate that a while ago, but this time I really decided to lean into design elements. And my posts have been like really different this time around. Like, yeah, instead of like just posting up a picture and then, it's like, oh, it's like support my Kickstarter, it's like we're almost at X amount of dollars or blah, blah, blah. Help me reach the end of the campaign. Instead, I started like kind of like trying to talk to the potential reader in almost an interactive way. And like, I just posted something up this morning where it's talking about, well, if you like these types of media, and I put up pictures of, The Last Unicorn and Lord of the Rings and Record of Lodoss Wars. And it's like, really kind of like, A Knight's Tale, kind of like a good variation of inspirational, or what the, comparative media, right? Like if kind of like I did, if you liked these, you might like this. And then I put EGORAVEN, and then I put like the things that, and then I just kept it to the things in the book that the reader would be interested in. And then I had the final slide where it has the information on going to Kickstarter. It's on issue 12 is on Kickstarter, hit the link, blah, blah, blah. Right. But like I really kept myself out of it. All I did was focus on the story and how the reader would maybe interpret what they're looking at. And the thing that I kind of had fun doing is that I did it in like, well, on Instagram, it would be called a carousel, where it's like you have like these panels that you scroll through instead of having just like,
Right.
so again, it's like you're kind of adding that interactivity to it where, people read each panel and slide over. So, but when I post it to Facebook, it actually looks like a puzzle that's on the screen. And for some reason, it has like a very odd aesthetic quality to it, because it's like, when you see, even though it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, like it's 4 up as opposed to being 4 in a row, there's still something very like puzzly and aesthetic to it that, well, I personally like surprisingly found kind of attractive to look at. But again, it was like kind of like pushing that interactive. I don't know. Have you seen, what I've been trying to do?
Yeah.
Right? Like when you started seeing those posts. Oh, and by the way, the group still doesn't allow me to post without approval.
It should.
No,
put
I
it
have
on
two.
there.
I have 2 pending still.
What the?
Yeah. Well, we can worry about that later, but I just needed to remind you now. But when you started seeing those posts that I was putting up, like, what was your thought about them as somebody who's marketing professionally? Like, what was your thought about them? Well, I guess the thought about marketing professionally kind of like,
Yeah, I was like, what is that even?
right? But okay, but somebody
like
who does
the first thing I thought of is with Facebook, I was like,
Right.
I don't think it like that would be good on the platform like Instagram or
right? Yeah.
whatever. But I worried about it on Facebook because there's a lot of words
Right. Yeah.
on the image, and
Right.
that usually flags. I think it's like 15% text to an image
Right.
or something
Uh-huh.
or less,
Right.
because anything over that
Uh-huh.
gets pushed down in the algorithm because it looks like marketing material.
Right. Yeah. Which technically it is, but
Right.
right. It's like, yeah, you see, because that's kind of the thing with Facebook. Technically, I should be making different content for Facebook specifically,
Right.
but I'm not in the mood for that. And like I said, my campaign
No, I get
is
it.
doing, yeah, my campaign is doing what it always does. So I feel like I'm not risking anything by being by doing something on Facebook that it doesn't
Right.
like. So I don't feel, but it's just part of the experiment. So, my enthusiasm can go so far. But like conceptually, right? Okay, so aside from how Facebook would look at this, right? Like you looking at this post, it's like does it kind of like how, like, as a person looking at the post, like what did you kind of like?
Okay, so to be honest, as
Yeah.
for me as a consumer,
Right.
I'm glad that I already knew you and already knew EGORAVEN, because
Right.
for me, the way you're doing it now is a turnoff.
Okay.
Because I don't like the trope shit.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Right.
It's just something ingrained in me. When I
Right.
see something marketed as like, oh, friends and enemies turned to, whenever
Right.
I
Yeah,
see
yeah,
that shit,
yeah.
I cringe.
Right.
I just cringe.
Right.
And that's probably just me
Right.
personally. And you know that I love you.
Right. Yeah, I know.
I love you very much, Daphne. Sometimes I love you too much. But for real, like, I don't like, I am the wrong person to
Right.
be asking on how you approached this, because you're going to need somebody who that would attract to see
Right.
it.
Right. Yeah. So it's yeah, but you see, yeah, I guess in the end, that's kind of like the thing. You're not technically the target that I'm going
No,
for.
I would have been targeted
Right.
through the indie comics promotion, where
Right.
it's like, look at this awesome art, and hey, you like Lord of the yeah, fuck
Right.
yeah, bitch, yes, I'm
Right.
here.
Like,
That
kind
was
of
that
like
was my calling.
right.
Oh,
Like
well, actually, it became before that because if you want to get technical, my calling to you was, "Hey, look at this furry porn I picked up for you to commission." Oh my god, is
right,
that
yeah,
Daphne
exactly.
Lage?
Right.
Yeah, holy shit. Okay, that's how that happened. But whatever.
Right, yeah. Well, that's
N- n-
why we got fixated on Omaha the cat dancer. Really, it really upsets me that that book does not have
And
an
it really
omnibus.
does.
It really
What is
does.
Reed Waller doing? He's still kicking, right?
Yeah, no, he's yeah. But
Okay, well then
pretty much what it boils down to that he says
somebody
it's
send an
complicated.
earworm to that man.
Yeah, he says it's complicated.
Why is it complicated?
That's all I was able to kind of like discern from his posts.
Ugh.
So, you know, but yeah, but I guess that kind of like points out my point is that different audio. Oh, the irony is not lost that Facebook
Exactly.
penalize you for posting marketing materials when they also want to force ads on you. Well, absolutely.
And the best part is the type of ads. I get straight up pornographic ads,
Right.
guys. Straight up. But if I let a nipple slip in my marketing,
Yeah.
I'm getting banned for 72 hours.
Yeah,
in
there
groups.
was a video that I watched about, people say like the frustration of trying to sell something. But yeah, like how we're penalized for significantly less than what they allow advertisers to do. Because there was like a discussion on YouTube about that, where it's like where there are streamers who can't even like repost the ads that's on their, that's being shown on their videos.
Right.
Like YouTube can show pornographic ads, but they can't. I mean, they can't even show the fucking statue of David
Hell, I
in
can't
their
even
videos.
cuss too much. Like, I swear
Right.
to God, they flagged me for F-bombs.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, wow, really? That's what you're afraid of?
Well, right, exactly. But now it's like we're living in this in a really, really shitty part of the timeline, which says a lot, where it's like, you have the heads of all these banking companies, sending emails back and forth to fucking Epstein, right?
Yeet.
But
Whoop.
but then they're turning around and telling us that you can't have that furry pornography can't you can't sell furry porn on Patreon or something or or whatnot.
Because you can only enjoy anything if you're fucking wealthy. That's
Right.
just it.
Like fucking
period.
X, they have a platform where you can literally make child porn.
Yep.
Right. But if you do an erotic game, it's like, oh, you have to take all this stuff out.
Yep.
Or else we're going to, but meanwhile, X is right there, I mean,
this is the dumbest timeline.
Yeah, it really is. Right.
Anyone.
So the idea
Wait,
that
I feel so bad. Like 50 years from now when the kids are logging into school or if we're still here, if
only
we
the
just don't
poorest
like
log into school.
Once we log into schools and have to learn this history, they're gonna be like,
Right.
the what?
What the
The
fuck?
what?
Yeah.
What the
Right.
fuck?
Really. Yeah. And it's like, yeah. So that's the irony also of like, yeah, Facebook will penalize me for advertising something that a large company can advertise with impunity.
Right.
So it's like, but meanwhile, I'm being flagged and you're being flagged for being advertiser unfriendly.
Oh, yes, they will, Rob.
Yeah. Yeah. And also it's like, no, but even then it's the amount of money.
It's crazy how
it's the amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. The like Pornhub and shit, it's like, but it's the amount of money also, because me trying to advertise House of Bob, on, I mean, I couldn't on Facebook, right? Because, it leads to you're selling pornography, we're going to ban your account. But
right.
yeah, but it's like, they have no problem with, some porno game, or something, like that has gambling aspects to it, it's like
right. It's so stupid.
Yeah. But so so yeah, so I was like, because the way I'm kind of like trying to do this content that I'm making, right, is that I want to focus more on people who actually read, and because it's like, well, if I want readers, I have to attract them in a way that encourages them to read. And especially when I'm kind of like looking at like Monsterotica, and especially that Kickstarter that made like $68,000 on 2 comics, right? And it's like, because my thinking is like, well, if readers are willing to buy comics, then the opposite should be true. Then it's like, then someone who, like, I'm a comic book reader who reads romantasy novels. So why couldn't it work in reverse, right? And this campaign proved that it's like it could, conceptually it could work. So I had to change. So I changed my content to kind of like try to attract those people. Like I said, I don't know if any of these people that I'm trying to attract actually, what is this read you speak of, right? Like, I don't know if it's actually working. I just know that my campaign is just doing what it's doing. So, because the thing that I was telling Jose, it's like, the problem with pivoting, right, especially at our level, is, or at least the frustrating part about pivoting, is how it's always starting from zero. Like, I think the most frustrating thing about being an independent comic book creator is that, like, any attempt at pivoting starts you at zero, because any change that you do requires a completely different audience. And and it's like, it never feels like we're gaining traction. It only just feels like we're starting over. And it's just like and that's like kind of like the really frustrating thing that I'm trying to like overcome, because it's like, yeah, I'm trying to attract readers, but it requires me to look at my stuff completely different than if I was just trying to attract comic book readers or comic book people. And again, and it's like, oh, I have to like create things differently. I have to learn a different language. It's kind of like moving to a different country. It's like, what the heck, like, I don't know, like, what is kind of like the, aside from the usual like Facebook algorithms and stuff, like when it comes to like dealing with audiences for all the different books that you advertise, like, what are the hurdles that you have to go over just dealing with the audience that you're trying to target?
For me, it's Kickstarter.
Right.
That's it. Like, having to promote the platform to people who are unfamiliar. That's really it, because the audience was mostly built in for the people I work with.
Right.
So it's like, I didn't create their audience. I'm just trying to help grow it where I can.
Right. But like, but in terms of trying to grow it, it's like you feel that it's the Kickstarter aspect that's kind of
it like, we end up like, the amount of conversation, like, to me, it's the most exhausting part, because I literally have copy paste frequently asked questions,
right,
like, to throw into comments on posts.
Right.
Because a lot of people who are new to the indie comics aren't familiar with Kickstarter,
right.
Or if they're coming over and they weren't familiar with comics at all, they don't have a clue about Kickstarter, or so yeah.
Right. No, because also, like, going back to the whole thing about removing myself from the content. Although it's like the only time that, like, even my own Kickstarter, I've really tried to remove references to myself in the like in the body for the most part. Because like I said, I kind of like have this thing where it's like I think that the average reader, or at least a potential reader, that's not important to them. What they want to know is the story. What they want to know is what the artwork looks like. They want to know whether, like, overall, this is something like the emotional resonance of the book. Like, is this going to be something that they're going to want to read? Whether they see my name or not is completely irrelevant, because look, in the grand scheme of things, I'm a nobody. So it's like, so my name holds no weight in that scroll. So, and the same thing with the ads that I was doing. It's like I don't have my name on any of the ads that I put out. And I'm just kind of, and so it's like, so that's kind of like also like I said, it's like that was like the really weird thing, like taking, like, how do I advertise a book I want people to read, but not making it about me? Because that's also the thing, like, when I see like all like Jose's shows and everything, right? Like people talk about their campaigns, and there's a lot of me talk, a lot of I talk. I did this. This is about, my feelings about this. This is what I wanted to do. And, my passion project, I created this, right? And there's very, again,
no, that gets exhausting, because it's like, what does that have to do with this book?
Right. Like, oh, this is inspired by something that happened to me, right? That's another one, right?
Right.
And it's like, yeah, it's exhausting because, yeah, but what is the fucking story about? Why, again, it's like, okay, all right, we know why you did this, but we don't give a shit as an audience, right? I want to know why I should like this book. Right? What's the story about? Why should I connect? What am I supposed to connect to? Like to give you an example, right? So, I read 2 issues of a comic book series that I thought I was interested in until I read these 2 issues. And, and it was funny because it was kind of like everything superficially about it I was interested in. But once I actually read the book, it was like, nah, this book actually it's just too superficial. Where it's like pretty much it was 2 issues of nothing but fight scenes, and the so-called strong female character, it was just like you couldn't have been more stereotypical. It's like, oh, she fights other people. It's like, okay, what else she does, right? And then it's like when she actually gets into conversations with people, she's having arguments with them. And it's like, and the funny thing, and then it's like none of the information that's being talked about is important. And it's like, so what am I actually reading here? Like if I boil down the story, it's like, what am I being told here? Okay, I'm being told that she's a bitch and she fights a lot. And that's pretty much it in 2 issues. Like there was nothing really there. I mean, it's like there was another comic that I read that I really, really wanted to like this comic. But instead they dumped a whole like prologue in it that meant nothing to the story, and then the actual story itself, it's like, yeah, but you're not really doing anything here. You're not really like, you're kind of like, if it wasn't like there wasn't much that was being said, and this kind of like, and the only reason like this book I would continue collecting is because the artwork is so mind-blowing that I just want to look. At worst, I just want to look at the artwork. Or at best, I just want to look at the artwork. Right? This other book, it was kind of like, there's nothing here for me. It's like you want to pretend that there's something here for me, but there's nothing here for me. You know, it's like you had 2 issues to hook me in, right? And there's nothing in the story that does that, you know? And then it's like it was the type of book that had like kind of like character bios in the back. And it's like, I'm not reading that shit.
No.
It's like, no, if you want me to know about these characters, it had to be in the story. I'm not buying a comic to read character bios. I'm buying a comic to read about the characters in the story. You know, and it's like, and it's kind of like, you know, it's like, oh, they told me, oh, strong female character, which by the way is the reason why, like, if anything, this kind of proved to me
that
why
is the
I
most
hate,
triggering thing to me.
really. It's like, honestly, it's like, yeah, it's like if I hear anybody say it's a strong female character, and mind you, sometimes the romanticy people do that too. You know, it's like, oh, she's a, you know, a spunky heroine with banter. And it's like, no, fuck you. I don't want that shit, you know, because, and it took me a while to finally like understand. It's like, why do I hate the term strong female character so much? Right. It's like, well, because most of the time, that's the only thing that I know about this character, even in the context of the text. You know, where it's like, oh, this is a strong female character.
She got a body like She-Ra. That's all that means.
Right. And then it's like, oh, yeah, and she
big
fights
tits.
a lot. Right. And she fights a lot and she bitches a lot or whatever. You know, she can fight. And it's like, this does nothing for me.
Not a thing.
You know, because it's like, honestly, that's not a fantasy for me. And it's the whole thing about like know your audience, right? This is where know your audience comes in, right? And I really do believe that the person who created this book trying to sell this strong female character, they really didn't know their audience. If they meant for that book, like, oh, you know, I want to attract female readers, you get an F. Because it's like, because honestly, this gave me nothing, right? Except the absolutely, it's like, you know, what you're trying to do is you're trying to give me a male power fantasy with tits. And that's all that is. It's like, that has nothing to do with me. You know, and it's about like changing, you know, like actually creating the product for the audience that you're trying to attract, or actually creating the content, right? And I found it incredibly frustrating because it's like a lot of creators do this, where it's like they want to attract a certain audience, but they actually don't do anything to actually attract that audience.
Well, yeah, you mean work?
You know? And it's like, and that was like the thing that I was trying to figure out with this content that I was trying to make. You know, it's like, okay, if I want to attract romantasy readers, I have to create content that they're familiar with, and then, but do it in a way where it's not, I'm not misleading them. Why do we have to be strong and hot to be relevant? Right, exactly. You know, it's like, you know, it's like, look, you know, it's not coincidence where, I mean, honestly, it's like, you know, I didn't create EGORAVEN that way. Like I said, I took a perfectly good unicorn and gave her anxiety. You know, I mean, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to create for myself. You know, it's like, yeah, being She-Ra is cool and stuff, but you know, I always remembered how insecure Adora was.
Right.
You know, how it's like where there came a point in the series where She-Ra was her mask, literally.
Yeah.
Because Adora felt like that people liked her better. I mean, I think there was an entire episode about this where it's like people liked her better as She-Ra than Adora.
Right.
You know? And it's like that spoke to me. You know, that's why, and I think that's why She-Ra,
because that's real.
Right. You know, it's like, yeah, the fantasy element is that, you know, that she gets to turn into She-Ra and she has a unicorn and the whole thing, right? You know, but, you know, eventually the story is, it's like, no, that's you too. you can, like you can, and that's like something that I really tried to like, that I'm really trying to portray in the EGORAVEN story, that she has all this anxiety and self-doubt, and but it's like, what? It's like she has shit to do, and it requires her to kind of work through all that mental nonsense to be able to succeed at what she needs to do, which is saving a kingdom. But like, when she was a bad guy as Force Captain Adora and she had to change that perspective. Well, sure, but the thing is, though, the anxiety was still there.
Yeah, it was still real. It was, she
it
still
was
just
still
wasn't
real.
the strong, right. Beyond the strong female.
I mean, it's like, right, because it's like, it's, so it's like, but, and also the thing is too, that also I wanted to portray in the story is that even though EGORAVEN has to overcome her mental blocks in order to do what she needs to do, the other thing that I really wanted to really bring home in this story is that you can't do it alone.
Word.
And it's like, and that was like another thing that annoyed me with this other story, is that here was this, I don't know, this Wonder Woman with different character. That stuff is way more interesting than I'm the special and I kill baddies and have sex with the tallest tall. No, for real.
Yeah, so fucking accurate.
I've read those books.
Sure you have.
It's true. They're awful. It's like, and that's why I kind of have a like. It's like, that's why the monster smut attracts me more than regular romantasy, but because that's kind of the storyline.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, so it's like, so this Wonder Woman, but different, right? And it's like, and she's doing this shit, but it's like she's surrounded by people, but she's the only one saving the day. And it's like, why? If she's surrounded by all these people, why are none of these motherfuckers helping her? Right?
Bums.
And it's like, and that was something that I really wanted to like stress in EGORAVEN, is that you can't do this alone. And like, honestly, nobody really wants to do this alone. Being the strong female character is not a fantasy for me. Because there are just days I want to be taken care of for a change. It's like, there are days that I don't want people to expect me to save the day. There are people, it's like these are real, like, emotional things that I wanted to make sure was in my story.
And that's what makes a good female character.
And it's
the complications,
like, right,
the flaws,
right, the
anxieties,
right. And then realizing that you're surrounded by people who want to help you anyway. Who it's like, they understand we're not allowing you to do this alone. You are not alone. We are going to help you. We are going to lift you up. And not in a, so we can cut you down later. None of that bullshit. None of that. Yeah, we're helping you as long as you don't get better than, it's like, no, it's like, it's unconditional. It's unconditional. And then realizing that when you have that type of support system, that's when you can truly do great things. And that's kind of, and that's, and that's what, it's like, I started like, it's like, what, exactly how I told you the story. I didn't talk about me. Well, it's like, granted, I talked about how I felt about it, but in the end, this is the story. The story is about a good unicorn with anxiety who needs to step up and has the support system to do it, regardless of how she feels about it. And it's like, now, what does that sound like on the other side of the table? It's like, if you're somebody who's, looking for fantasy books, and that's how you hear me describe this story, like, that's bait. You see, that's bait, right? And it's like, and depending on what a person is looking for in a story, I can kind of switch up the story. I can kind of switch up the explanation slightly. But again, the trick is not to be misleading. Because even though I want to attract, romantasy readers, I try to be clear enough that this is not a romantasy. It's a romantic, it could be a romantic fantasy, because there's romance. There's a lot of romance aspect in the story that's important to the story. Like, I couldn't do this story without it, because it's these relationships that form EGORAVEN's worldview that helps her succeed at the end. Right? And it's like, and yeah, there's a happy ending. It's like, if there's one trope the shit has, is that it has a happy ending. But I'm going to make her earn that happy ending. So yeah, so it's like trying to like figure out like, oh, and that's the thing too, right? To kind of like tell the story in a very sincere way, where it's like, like in the end, it's like, did that sound like I was advertising to you?
Mm-mm.
Like but yet we watch a lot of people talk about their Kickstarters, and then like it just sounds like a list of marketing phrases, right? And then it's like, or it just sounds like a mix. It's like, oh, like it's really funny how it's like you say that you don't like the whole trope list.
But I do have tropes I like, which is so weird.
Right.
But when I see it marketed like that, I cringe. Probably because I don't like some of the books that are marketed.
Right. Well, no. But you are correct though, because a lot of those books are not very good.
They're not. It's cringe. It's so cringe.
Like I said, that's why I like the smut books better, because I don't know, they seem to have a better grasp of that stuff, along with being spicy. Than romantasy books do. But it is funny to also I keep giving Nightwolf a bad one. A bad one what? I lost the context of that comment. So it's like, but it is funny how like in comics though, when people talk about their Kickstarters, that there is sometimes an ending. Oh, you gave him a bad ending? Well, it is a dark fantasy. So that is typical. Technically the happy ending is more of a romantasy / like romance expected trope. I need that in my book. So that's there. I have to have a happy ending. So, but this is what
Rob
we do.
Abuses
Rob.
His character.
This is what we do. Because I certainly abuse the fuck out of you, EGORAVEN, and all my characters. I certainly do, because that's how you get the story. You have to abuse them. You have to abuse your characters in order to get the good story out of them. Like I said, there's a happy ending, but I make sure she earns that happy ending. So yeah, so it's like there's a certain way people talk about their comics that's also kind of very similar to that trope thing, except we're just so used to it in comics that it doesn't register as kind of like being the same thing. When it's kind of the Batman but different. Batman is the trope. Wonder Woman is the trope. X-Men is the trope. Except we don't recognize it. Oh, hey, little Dixie. It's part of being a writer. Yeah, it's like I specifically try to expect tragic shenanigans for a reason. Yes. I think the more tragic shenanigans, the better, because I think that it makes the payoffs worth more. Especially like the happy ending, or in Rob's case, the bad ending, right? The good ending and the bad ending. I prefer the good endings. Rob wants the bad endings, but it's important that those endings, no matter what they are, no matter it, like the characters have to earn those endings. like he
I'm sorry.
We're in dangerous territory now. So it's like if Rob is, so it's
I'm
like
gonna hit my bong and mind my business.
Okay, so it's you gotta break. Well, you've probably broken the one you got yourself for your birthday.
It is. It's fucking awesome. It's my little gay bong, and it's beautiful.
Right. It's all nice and shiny. Being familiar with Nightwolf, right? The fact that Rob says that, oh, there's going to be a bad ending, like there's like, holy shit, what could possibly, like now the expectations, considering what I know in this story, the expectations for that ending is high.
Right.
But it's like, what, considering what the characters are going through, what is that ending going to look like? Right. And, but that's me being invested in a story, it's like, so it's like, where this other Wonder Woman, but different book, right. Like couldn't catch me in 2 issues that they gave me, you know what it is? They gave me no reason as a reader to care about the characters, to care about the characters. Like I said, all you told me is that she's a bitch in the negative sense, and she fights, and that's it. And somehow that's supposed to be enough. And then it's like what little superficial, oh, but she fights for her friends. It's like, okay, so Epstein was taking care of his friends too. What does this mean to me? What is this supposed to mean to me? And it's like, and it's like if you weren't selling, okay, so it's like, so again, knowing your audience, it's like, so who are you selling this book to? Why should, okay, because obviously I didn't feel like I was the audience for this book, regardless of what the superficial trappings. Issue 11 and 12 has several twists.
No, Rob. I love you, Rob. That's a bad comparison. We don't do that.
Right. Oh, no.
We don't do that. Do you remember the happening, Rob? There was nothing happening.
Right, yeah. It was the
it was Avatar. Oh my God.
The happening was what happens when your allergies when you have allergies and the trees are literally trying to kill you.
There's no Allegra in the pharmacy. No, but like seriously, and plus he just like totally shit on fucking Avatar, and not the fucking blue people.
Right.
Like,
yeah, no, that's
totally shit on the last Airbender. Right. Like, yeah, like dude, right. Nickelodeon handed it to you on a silver motherfucking platter. Boy, I'm getting passionate now. I'm gonna stop.
But that's storytelling for you.
Oh.
But you see, but I think that this is very indicative of something, right? Like how important storytelling is, that we can easily, like, the things that we're passionate about because the story sucked us in.
Right.
Like it is like the most, like nobody, like, look, if you only remember books for their artwork, it's for very specific reasons. It's like really, it's like, oh my God.
You remember them for their story.
Right, exactly. Like, oh my God. Jose was showing me this hysterical video of this guy reviewing Youngblood issues 1 through 4. And it was so funny because it's like, he's flipping through the pages and he's not even talking about the stories, because in the end, like he's showing, like, the way he was explaining it, because all he was doing was pointing at the pictures and just like, and it's like, even when he was reading dialogue, like the story didn't matter. Like even looking at those pages, that it's like, holy shit, in like 30 years, like this is the same shit that not Tom McFarlane, but Tom McFarlane's dog, that Rob Liefeld created. Like this is the same shit, that happened, like 30 years ago, except the coloring's different. But like the story is complete nonsense. It's literally just X-Men but different, and that, and it's like there was like, you could tell the pages were just drawn to sell. This wasn't a comic book. This was an original art catalog.
Huh.
Because every page was drawn to sell. And it's like, look, I don't like superhero comics anyway. I have no dog in this fight. It's like, it was just a really, really funny video. But the fact that the story didn't matter. It's like people who say, it's like they like Spawn or talk, like they talk more about the artwork.
Right.
Maybe in very particular things they may talk about, well, when this particular writer was on it, like it actually was good, but then like overall it's like, the story doesn't mean anything. It's just like the artwork's cool and it makes everybody feel like a 13-year-old again, because it's literally exactly what they grew. It's the perfect nostalgia, because it's new, but it's exactly the same thing that they grew up with. It's just colored different. But it's like the stuff that people like but the thing is, the stuff that we really get passionate about, we start talking about the story. We start talking about how the story, like, look, we're talking about She-Ra, this shit we were watching when we were 11, and it's like, yeah, but this was the story.
Right.
It's like, the superhero that had, the superhero lady with a unicorn, that was the superficial trapping. It was those little moments of actual story that we caught. That's what made everything stick. That's what made it stick.
And it wasn't the little morals that were
and it wasn't
included at the end
either.
that were obligated by law.
Right. So I guess the point that I was just trying to make with all this, right, that it's like, I did the experiment. I was like, what would it look like if I made the story the center of my story instead of anything really having to do with me? Like, how would a potential reader look at my story, and how would they resonate with it? Right. And, and ironically, it's like what resonates with me in my story that I think would resonate with other people are like the emotional beats that are important to me. So it's personal to me. Like, I'm telling you, it's personal to me in terms of those things, but technically it's not really about me, because the idea is that I'm telling you this, or I'm telling you this about the character that I created in this certain way. And it's like, how is the reader going to react to that? How is the reader going to go, oh, wait, I felt like that too? It's like, I'm trying to use my story, like I'm trying to use my book less as a product and more as a mirror. I think that's like a good way of looking of like thinking about it, where it's like, how is my book a mirror to the person that I'm trying to attract? Like, there are things of me in this story, but what if I turn that mirror around? So it's like, that's kind of what I'm trying to do with my content, is I'm taking that mirror that I've been, used to looking at this entire time. And it's like, well, what if you get to look in the mirror?
Right.
What do you see in this book? Like, what do you see in this book that's reflecting back at you? And it's kind of, and I have to admit, though, I've been having fun with this experiment. Like, you know, the like just this morning, like I created a whole new carousel, and it's like, and that's kind of like the interesting. It's literally like putting together a puzzle. It's like I'm talking about my book, but again, I'm turning the mirror to face the reader. Like, how is this going to look to them? What are they seeing?
You'll never fucking know, because it's some of the most bizarre stuff.
Yeah.
Like, because for me reading one of them would be, there's a unicorn in the story that reminds me of my grandfather. Dead ass.
Right. Oh,
dead ass.
Oh, is that the connection?
Like, yeah, bitch. Yeah.
But it's gonna be worth it, I swear.
Fuck.
But that's the thing, right? It's like Meredith, like I remember when she told me that like that EGORAVEN like stood out for her because she felt the same way, being half Korean, half American.
Right.
Like she felt that. She projected that into the story. You know,
yes, and see, you can never market to the audience in the way you think that you need to market to them, because you don't fucking know what's going to bring them in. All you can do is tell them what's there.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know, and hope that my writing is actually skilled enough to deliver what they're expecting.
Right.
Because it's like, like I said, you know, I've kept books because the artwork was really good, but I've also gotten rid of books with really good artwork in it because the stories were just that unreadable.
Well, you know what that means to me?
What?
That the artwork wasn't good enough for you to keep.
Well, it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough.
Exactly.
Right. Because another example that I like using, I mean, I guess just to end on this, 2 books that had stories that I was interested in, and they were kind of like very similar, you know, which was kind of ironic. So it's like, but one of them especially had a story that I really knew I was going to enjoy. The problem was that the artwork was so bad and the story wasn't really that well written for me to stick with the series. You know, so even though it was a story, if the artwork was better, I would have put up with a lot in the book.
Right.
But because the artwork was so bad, the story wasn't strong enough to carry it. So I had to get rid of that book. So I just stopped. I read the first trade and it's like, okay, I'm done. It's, you know, I can't stand this. Right. And then the other book with a similar story, right, that I found kind of interesting. The artwork was really nice, but like the story was even worse. Like it was like the story was just so poorly written that the artwork wasn't strong enough to carry it. You know, which is kind of like, I guess, like when it comes to like the manga style, you know, there's so many people doing it that it's very easy to find someone better. So if the artwork's not doing it, yeah, you know what? At least my actual Japanese manga, I actually really like the artwork, but because I can't read it, it doesn't matter. You know? You know, so it's like, so yeah, so it was just very strange. So one had really bad artwork with a story that I would have read if the artwork were better. But then I had a story with good artwork, but the story was so bad, but the artwork couldn't keep up. So those are 2 books that I had to get rid of. So, you know, in the end, the story would have saved both these books. You know, the story would have saved both these books. That's for sure. But yeah, so that's what I've been kind of like up to. With the campaign going, because pretty much, like I said, I've just become locked in and hyper focused when I have a campaign running, because I'm just trying to figure out how to advertise this differently. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. I mean, so yeah. So do you have any like final thoughts on There's the final thoughts.
That's my final thought.
Yeah, because I mean, in the end, it's like the types of books that you advertise are like also really, really specific too. And yeah, and it's like you said, there's an audience already for them. So it's I don't know. I don't want to say it's easier to advertise to them. Like, am I being facetious or accurate? Or dismissive? Is that dismissive to say that the books that you're advertising is a little bit easier to advertise?
No, because it was easier to get started because there was a feel there. I didn't have to create it.
Right.
Like when I'm marketing Rob stuff, Rob has his story established. He's got his style of marketing or whatever, which sometimes not sometimes, all the time. I change up the wording because I make it more from me personally.
Right.
Because this is what I'm seeing from it or I'm enjoying from it. And like, it's just, it's easier to go with because it's not my own. I guess. I don't know.
You know, I kind of think that's I'm wondering whether that's what I'm trying to imitate. I'm trying to imitate someone else talking about my book. As a, you know what I mean? Like, so instead of like, cause like, you know, that other thing that I know we're going a little bit over, but I need to finish my thought. That people don't want to hear a creator talk about their book because it's obvious you're going to think it's the best thing since sliced bread. But if they see a stranger talking about the book, then
it's different. Right.
Then it's different. Then it's like they take, if someone else is liking it, right? Then it's like, so like there's a difference between, like there would be a difference between Rob talking about his own book and you talking about his book.
Right.
Like there's,
and I guess when people understand that I am paid, they're like, oh, well, you're paid to, but here's the thing. This is not my real job in quotations. Like, I guess it's still, yes, it is work, but it's not, I'm not going to just take anything.
Right.
Like I turn away more books than I actually promote.
Right. Because I guess, is it because
I feel that gives me a little bit of leverage in groups and stuff because people know that if it's something that I am not interested in, I'm not putting it out there.
Right. It's like you're able to choose the books that you're actually genuinely interested in. So your advertising is actually,
or at least the publishers. Yeah.
Right. So because then your advertising is actually more recommendations than advertising. Right. And then people see it, which is also, that's also another thing.
So that's a leg up on it too. So it's like, it's totally different from being a marketer and being the creator marketing.
Yeah. So that's what I've just been playing around with, especially lately. I mean, I just find it funny that it's like now I'm kind of having fun with it, and maybe it's allowing me to think differently as opposed to like, oh, it's a fucking chore. It's like I have to do this, and now it's like, you know what? Let me just do something, whip something up and see what happens, right? So I don't know. Like I said, the problem is that this type of work, there's no real way for me to like know if my strategy is working. Aside from like like going through the people who are backing, it's like, okay, how did you find my work, or something, or why did you, and getting it more into detail, which I'm not in the headspace to go like that further in.
And you shouldn't be, because like the interrogation runs people off too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So so it's like, I go, you know what? I'm having fun doing these graphics, and if they work, they work. And if they don't, they don't. And either way, the campaign's doing fine. So I'm okay. So, oh my goodness. So I just want to thank everybody in the chat for keeping us company today and putting in your $1.25 in this economy. And I'd like to thank the beautiful eyeball people listening to us in the background. You could be listening to anything else, no matter what you're doing, but instead you decided to listen to us, and we appreciate every single one of you. And also, it's like, if you're here watching us live or on the replay, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever any of our shows go live, or my live streams or any of that other stuff. So speaking of live streams, Wednesday I will be sorting out my streams again. So Wednesday, I'm going to host another drawing live stream. It's 2 hours of me just working on whatever it is I have to be working on and hanging out with the chat. And we're having like whatever conversations you want to have. Mostly it's art related, but we've had some really strange conversations as well. Just like here. It's kind of like it's from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. It's kind of like having meeting me at a convention, but you don't have to worry about blocking my table. Also, as a reminder, EGORAVEN issue 12 is on Kickstarter right now. So we have 2 weeks left on the campaign. The links are in the chat and in the show notes. And again, one last time, Rod Espinosa's Adventure Finders is also on Kickstarter, but on pre-launch. So hit the pre-launch page, link again, chat, show notes, so that you get notified when this volume 1 goes live. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Like I said, you could be watching us. You could be watching anything else. If you want to learn more about me and my artwork and everything else going on, you can head on over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can read EGORAVEN, Heir the First Unicorn, for free. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of a furry Lord of the Rings adventure, you can follow the link over to Tall Tales. That's TAILSonline.com, and you can read the archive there of over 1,000 pages to catch up on the story. And also, don't forget to sign up for my newsletter, where you can keep up to date. There we go. The newsletter right here. Just hit the QR code here, and you can sign up for my newsletter, where you can keep up to date with all of my new art, my sketchbooks, my comics, and Kickstarters. It's like, if you guys are on my newsletter, you got a sneak peek at the Zhang Brothers cover that's coming up on the Volume 3 Kickstarter for EGORAVEN.
And it's nice.
It's very nice. Oh, it's
very, very nice.
Very nice. It's like, and look, and you guys are not going to see the nude variant until that campaign. So, oh my God, it's so beautiful. But if you were on the mailing list, you would have gotten a sneak peek of it. So make sure you sign up, and you get a free comics book bundle for joining as well. You get free PDFs of EGORAVEN, Tall Tales, and the Oswald Chronicles just for joining. So that's it for us. Thank you, Nita, for actually joining us today. It's very lonely doing these shows without you. I just want you to know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well,
it's gonna be all right. I'm gonna get that new setup space, and that's it. Because once I move it over here, there's no going again, because I have to mount shit into the wall. And to make this new setup work. Right. And I'm stoked because I'm going to have so much fucking space.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Like, I've always had the cramped corners or the closet or whatever. And it's like, no, I got a fucking office now.
Right. Yeah. The only thing I'm going to miss is your backdrop, but hey.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's the price I paid for my sanity.
Exactly.
Because I was so tired of staying in that closet. There's no fucking windows in there.
No, absolutely
like nothing.
Right.
Like, it was just so dark and depressing. And then it's shut off around the corner from the rest of the family. So like, when I'm working all day, it's like, no, it's going to be so much better.
Right. Now, look,
I'm all about mental health these days.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. I love like designing new spaces and trying to like get all my shit to fit comfortably in a small area.
I'm gonna have so much space. I'm gonna have to get more shit.
Oh, there you go.
I got to start finding fillers. Although the dress ought to fit.
Oh,
He'll fit now. He can sit on my desk and he can watch me.
oh yeah. It's like I literally I'm really happy that you liked that you liked it. Yeah.
So much. So,
Right.
so much so. Because like when I'm opening, I'm like, what the fuck?
Right.
Why? Because it's like I was trying to figure out what the fuck, why you were sending me something.
Well, because it was your birthday. Well, it was your birthday, but it came on Valentine's Day, like 2 weeks early. So
Yeah, that's great though, because it's perfect.
yeah.
And I'm like, I opened the box and I'm like, oh, holy shit. And everybody's looking at me because I'm opening it right there in front of them. And they're like, what is it? What is it? And everybody's like trying to crawl over me. And I pulled Tristan Harden out of the fucking box. And they're like, oh my God.
Right.
I love him so much.
Oh, that's the I'm glad you do. I'm glad you do. Because it had you written all over it. So there was another thing that I was also considering, but I think that one would have probably have made everything way too awkward. The Drizzt works better.
Wait, what? No, dude. Tell me.
Absolutely not.
No, you will tell me.
You know what I'm going to tell you? No, you know what I'm going to tell you? The words of the ancient.
Ah, bitch.
Eat your food, moisturize, mind your business, and do the work. Because when you actually do the work, you never have to fake any of your accomplishments. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next time. Toodaloo.
Hear me. The Thorn Valley Plan is the aspiration of idiots and dreamers. We were just talking about you.
That's refreshing, Jenner. Usually you're screaming about us.